Well, it's a break from the league this weekend for the fourth round of the FA Cup as we make the trip to Watford. Yay! To help us preview that one, let's welcome Mike Parkin from it's from the Rookery End, your podcast, isn't it? Have I got that right?
Yeah, we didn't think that through because whenever we get introduced to, it's Mike from the Rookery End podcast, and 14 years later, it hasn't got any easier.
Let's say star of from the Rookery End. That kind of works, doesn't it?
Yeah, we'll take that. Definitely.
I mean, is it fair to say this is the draw that neither of us really wanted?
Look, I think for Watford at the moment, we're enjoying the football, we're enjoying the games at the moment. So I think actually for us, the fellow Championship side, although for how much longer remains to be seen, is probably not a bad draw because it just what Watford are looking to do at the moment is just keep a little bit of momentum up. So I think rather than get humped away at a Premier League side or I think it's not a bad draw for us, to be honest, to potentially give you an answer you weren't expecting.
Well, a home tie as well, I guess. That's what the managers always ask for, isn't it? And let's just talk about the form, because you've been on a nice little run since Boxing Day.
Yeah, we've done all right. Valérien Ismaël's got Watford playing a little bit. He's certainly got us playing more enjoyable stuff than last season. Last year was the first year down from the Premier League, and the attitude was all wrong. Any of the 6, 7, 8, 9 managers we had in charge last season couldn't get a tune out of them. And this year it just feels like they're all singing from the same hymn sheet for the first time in a long time. So Watford fans, it may sound a little bit counterintuitive because we're sort of mired in mid-table, really looking up at the playoffs a little bit. But we're enjoying this season much more than we have done the last 2 or 3, really. So yeah, they're doing all right. They're slowly but surely building up a little bit of momentum. I sort of stopped short of a head of steam. I don't think we're quite at that stage yet, but they're looking all right. It's and it's good fun again, which is enough for most of us at the moment.
They seem to, from what I've read, like they're pressing well at the moment. They seem well organised. Is that a good summary? Is that what we might look out for at the weekend?
I think both ends of the pitch we're slightly chaotic defensively. Just heard you guys before I came on talking about your defensive setup and how well you're defending. Not the case for Watford at all. We're sort of chopping and changing a little bit with our centre back pairing. Not really hitting on the right formula. Far too easy to score against. I don't know the last time we kept a clean sheet. I might have had hair the last time we kept a clean sheet. So defensively, we're struggling, and in the final third, we do a lot of the hard work. We get into good areas in the final third, but then tend to overplay, looking for the perfect shot, looking for that one extra pass to craft the perfect chance. And I think the sort of Valérien Ismaël's pragmatism has served us very, very well this season. He's had a big job on his hands to sort of turn around this ship that's been low on confidence, and the attitude has been all wrong. So he's had a lot to fix, and I understand why he is so pragmatic. But I think it's sort of costing us a little bit. We can't defend. We do a lot of our best work when we're on the front foot. So I'd like to see us let the handbrake off a little bit, but I don't really think that's in Big Val's playbook.
Was it 5 changes for the third round? I'm just wondering, how seriously they're taking the cup. Are we going to see similar changes again? Is there an FA Cup side that he's going to put out at the weekend?
I think it'll be a strong side, primarily because Watford just simply don't have the strength in depth to change things up. I've spoken about the momentum and the belief that is slowly building in this side, and I think what he would be loath to do is risk making wholesale changes. Bringing in, you'd be looking at sort of very, very inexperienced under 21 and youth players coming in because we just haven't got a big enough squad. And I think that would represent a massive risk because I think, to be perfectly honest, Southampton would take us apart if we made too many changes. And this season for Watford has been about that slow building upon last week, the week before, and just the team getting to know each other, rebuilding a bit of faith with the fans again, getting the supporters back on side. So I think making too many changes would represent too big a risk. So I think it'll be, if you look back at Watford's last 3, 4, 5 games, most of the players you see in those games will be featuring on Sunday, I'd imagine.
You did make a bit of hard work about that Chesterfield game. Was it the 95th minute, I think, the winner?
Yeah. We like to, the magic of the FA Cup. That's what it's all about. We like to do our bit, down at Watford. We take our responsibility seriously. I think they walked into that one. I think we've got a lot of players who aren't used to playing teams of that outside the Football League, and they will have heard National League, and they probably would have thought, okay, we can rock up and sort this lot out without too much difficulty. But I think Chesterfield are a non-league side in name only. They'll be in League Two very, very quickly, and I dare say they might go through that division as well. Very, very good side, and made life difficult for Watford. We did have chances to go 2-0 up very, very early on in the game. Didn't take them. Chesterfield capitalised, and we found it very, very difficult. But I think it does speak to what I was trying to get at earlier about the belief in this Watford side. And it may sound silly to sort of use a game against a non-league side as an illustration of a team who's is coming together in terms of their belief, but they kept going right till the end. Last year we'd have lost that game with arguably a significantly better squad. So I think Watford fans were slightly disappointed that they got themselves into that mess in the first place, but ultimately pretty pleased and impressed that they managed to turn it around and win it right at the death. I'm
hearing lots of similarities and parallels to where we've all been. So you're in good company. Steve, you got a ticket for this one on Sunday? I mean, some people are pretty meh about the cup, but it's a game that we should go there and try and get a good win.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, one of the best things about the FA Cup is obviously the bigger away allocation. So we've got the whole of that end for this game, more than 4,000 going up there. So
and reasonably priced as well, which is always nice.
Yeah, 15 quid. So can't complain at that at all. The only complaint is Sunday 2:00, because let's face it, who other than Saints and Watford fans is watching Watford against Southampton on a Sunday at 2:00 in the afternoon?
Is it the international? It was an international TV pick. I hadn't really heard of that.
So,
I'll be honest. So
basically, because the FA has sold the FA Cup to all these broadcasters around the country, around the world. Part of the deal is that basically from the third round onwards, every game is available for them to televise. And understandably, they don't all want to show. They don't all have like 15 channels where they could show all of the 3:00 games. So as a result, all the games get moved.
Right.
So yeah, it's annoying, but I mean, it's no huge surprise that fans are quite a long way down the list of the sort of pecking order of the FA's priorities.
It's nice to be reminded, even in the Championship, isn't it, that no one cares about supporters.
Well, we've had more games on TV this season. I think we did the previous two in the Premier League, I think. Another Saturday 12:30 kickoff miles from home yesterday to go with Plymouth and Sunderland previously. So yeah, it's one of those where if you want to dance with the devil and sort of take the money that the TV companies are offering, unfortunately that is the trade-off, that you get massively inconvenienced. And yeah, no, everybody whinges about it, but then we still sell 4,000 tickets. So I would argue that most people probably aren't quite so bothered.
Thankfully, it's not too far. Glenn, are you excited about this one? Does it get your fires burning? I mean, it was 1-1 back in December, wasn't it? Che Adams with his first goal since August. Remember? Yeah, and then that soft goal in injury time, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was our turn to concede the late equaliser. So it's going to be a bit of a different game this time round.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously, Mike said that Watford won't change their team that much. I hope we don't, because there's no midweek game this week or the week after. So, I hope we don't change the team, but I fear that we will. And it'll be interesting. I mean, everyone's talking about our unbeaten run at the moment. I think this is. I know if we did lose this game, it would then be unbeaten run in the league.
But it sort of does matter, though, doesn't it? You don't want to.
I think it does. I think it does. Yeah, I think it does. Even if you change seven or eight players, and you've got that sort of caveat in your own mind, I think it matters, and that's why with no midweek game before or after, I think we should put out as strong a side as we can. That being said, when the draw was made, I was very unenthusiastic about it, because I like playing teams that we haven't played. So basically, I don't want anyone from the Premier League or anyone that we've played this year, and to get Watford again is not the most exciting from that point of view. However, it's it's a localish game, and as Steve said, it's a good one to go up to because of the the large allocation, and it's not too far to go. So yeah, from that point of view, it's it's decent. I don't really know what to think about the FA Cup this year because obviously we're looking to get promoted.
Yeah.
And as Mike said, whichever team wins this game, there's the real chance of getting Spurs away or whatever and getting absolutely tanked or something in the next round. So, it is what it is. I'm more worried about it from the perspective of knock on to our league form, I have to say. So
and injuries, I guess, as well.
Yeah, you don't want injuries, so therefore, put out a few fringe players. But we've got a very good thing going at the moment, and I'm very wary about getting sort of like knocked out of the stride. So I hope we go strong. But looking forward to the game. But a little bit cautious about it, I have to say.
Do you think in terms of starting lineup, Alfie, it's going to be a similar team that we had out against Walsall in the third round? Maybe. I know he's been dropping hints about Rothwell coming in.
Yeah, I mean, I echo Glen's sports. They made 9 changes for the Walsall game, didn't they? I think that would be way too extreme. You can't go making 9 changes again. I don't think any of the young players will start the game. I would expect there to be 5 or 6 changes, though, I think, just purely because he's already said he'll start Joe Rothwell. I think Joe Lumley will and deserves to come back in for another game. He'll obviously start Jack Stevens because Jack Stevens has started right back in 2 games since he's played in every game since he's been back. Basically, at some point, he's found a way to bring him on at some point, so he'll almost certainly start. And I would imagine that he probably looks to start Charlie Alcaraz as well, and Shea Charles, a couple of the young lads who are still sort of pushing and maybe need those minutes. So I think that where I sit on it is, I think you have to make sort of 5 or 6 changes because you don't want to. If someone gets injured and you go, well, why were they starting in the first place? Like a Flynn Down, for example, you miss Flynn Downs for a few weeks, you'll be sitting there thinking, well, Shea Charles was ready to play. But I agree with Glen that you don't want to lose the game, and it's not an easy fixture by any means. I know the goal was a bit soft in the 96th minute last time round, but there's every chance they do get knocked out of their stride like that. And in terms of unbeaten runs, I know we're probably sort of sick and bored about hearing of unbeaten runs now, but in the club's all-time history before the Football League, the longest unbeaten run in all competitions was 21, which we're on now. So if they avoid defeat on Saturday, they will make the all-time unbeaten record as well. So I don't know if the club are going to celebrate that in the same way.
Another graphic for Instagram.
Exactly, yeah. But obviously, the worst possible result, I suppose, is a draw. I think this is the last round where there are replays, and I think the last thing both of these teams will want is a midweek game. So it begs the question: would you actually rather lose than draw? I'm not too sure.
And the next round is midweek as well, by the way.
Yes, it's going to get really busy heading into the next month. I mean, what are your kind of thoughts on the cup, Mike? Is it you just same as us, just like let's get through this and see what happens, or?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, heart bleeds for you, Alfie. Sick and tired of talking about the 21 game unbeaten run. It must be absolutely brutal for you. Deary me. But yeah, the cup, it's really difficult. I mean, you can tell by looking at me, I'm of a certain age. I think the first game I ever went to was the FA Cup. It was a 4-4 home tie with Walsall under the Vicarage Road lights. I adore the FA Cup, and I'm desperately disappointed for the way it's sort of the road it's gone down and the lower attendances and stuff like that. It leaves me really cold, and so I'm the old school. I want Watford to win every single game they play. I want them to be taking part in every single round of every single cup competition they can. But obviously, I recognise the difficulties of that. I think this year the FA Cup for us is just a chance to play more football and for this team to grow. And to develop, and if they can perhaps get a decent result against a team like Southampton, you can go in the next round and go, okay, well let's see what happens, and we'll have the day out and not worry about it so much. I think there's potentially more on it in this round because it's another test against I say similar. You know what I mean. Similar side from the same tier, and I think they'll be looking to test themselves, and I think as supporters will be looking on slightly more keenly than we ordinarily would have been, because it's like, okay, how far down the line is this team? What could we look at for the rest of the season? But I love the FA Cup. Watford have got, for a team our size, we've got really good pedigree in the cup. We've had some really good fun days out. We beat Arsenal in recent memory in that quarter-final at Highbury. We had the Wolves semi-final. We won't talk about the final against Man City, although if the FA and the EPL finally get themselves sorted, we might be posthumously awarded that FA Cup. You never know. But
that's optimism.
yeah, exactly. Well, I'm a Watford fan. You've got to stay optimistic. I still love it, and there's still all, as long as you're in the tournament, there's a chance for a little bit of magic. And I don't think Watford are going to go up this season. I think the playoffs are probably a little bit out of reach, just down to our squad depth. I don't think we're in serious relegation trouble either. I keep going on about it, but this really is a season for just getting the club back on an even keel, getting the fans back in love with the team, getting a team that looks organised, competent and competitive. So as long as they turn up against Southampton on Sunday and turn in a reasonable performance, which they have been doing pretty much week in, week out, that's probably going to be good enough. And if we can get the win, I think the 5th round, you're thinking, okay, let's get the big tie, let's go somewhere and see if we can't bloody someone's noses before getting on with the season.
I'm going to ask you for a score prediction, if you don't mind, Mike. It's just something silly we always do at the end of the previews. We always get it wrong. So.
Well, yeah, absolutely. That's why. I'll show you my Bet365 account in a minute, and you'll know not to put any stock on my prediction. What I would say, lads, you've mentioned that sort of late 96-minute goal at Vicarage Road. What absolutely staggered me in that game, Southampton had all the play, all the ball. Were effectively doing what they wanted, then decided to sort of, I'm not sure if you can swear on here, but they sort of S-housed, tried to start wasting time, and it was nonsense from about 20 minutes to go. And it put me in mind of sort of Eddie Howe and Jason Tyndall's Bournemouth back in the day.
Steady on.
It was so peculiar.
It was our own downfall, wasn't it? It was our own doing.
Yeah, there's no need for me to go to Eddie Howe and Jason Tyndall. I take it back. It just felt like a very odd sort of call to go down that route. And I think ultimately you'd sort of played yourselves a little bit there. I doubt you're going to make that mistake this time. I think I agree with you guys that there'll be a couple of changes on both sides. And I also think that the point that I think Steve made, neither team will want a replay. Will hopefully play into it being a sort of quite an exciting game. Certainly if it's tight towards the end. I cannot in good conscience predict a Watford win, because Southampton unbeaten in 21. I know you're sick and tired of talking about it, Alfie, but I do have to raise it again. I'm going to go for a fun and games 3-2 Southampton win. How about that for you?
Okay, great. Steve?
Bite your arm off for that. That'll be good fun. I'm slightly concerned that if we make too many changes, then we're just going to look a little bit disjointed, which we did in parts in that league game at Watford. Couple of injuries forced us into late changes. I think Flynn Downs was ill, and the midfield we lost the plot in midfield for like the last 15 minutes of both halves. If we kind of sacrifice that again, then could be in a little bit of trouble. And I'm unfortunately going to go with the result that nobody wants, which is a 1-1 draw.
A draw. Okay, I knew you were going to say that. Glenn, were you thinking the same?
I was exactly the same. But if you look at the prediction league, Steve and I are both bottom, and we always pick the same thing. He always goes first, and I always think, yeah, that's what I was going to say. So I'm going to be a miserable SOB, and think this is the end of the unbeaten run. To be honest, I'm going to go for 1-0 Watford, just to be different, really.
For anyone who's not aware of our predictions league, by the way, the person that's top is the one that knows the least about football. So that tells you everything you need to know. Alfie, a score prediction from you as well?
Yeah, I'm not 100% confident they're going to win the game.
No,
I think it doesn't. I don't think it. I don't think they're going to make huge amounts of change, but I think they will make a few, and I think that will, like Glenn says, sort of cause a bit of disruption. So I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw, which I don't want. I don't want another midweek game. So I don't think anybody does.
Okay. Mike, thanks for coming on. Enjoy the game at the weekend, and I'm sure we've got another game soon, haven't we? Or it won't be too far away, will it? We'll get you back on if that's all right. We'll catch up again soon.
Love to. Thanks for having me on, lads. Enjoy the game.
All right,
Cheers,
mate. Yeah. Enjoy the game as well.